We begin today with the realignment of the United States. Are we going to transition to the demands of the radical left, or will America realign and transition to the constitutional republic we have been for 246 years? With the next big round of primaries right on the doorstep now, coming up in key states including Michigan, Arizona, and Missouri, one big question is, will Republicans field strong enough candidates, or will they squander the biggest opportunity that party has had in a generation to knock out the socialist aspirations of people like Bernie Sanders and AOC? They'd like to see massive tax and spend programs get rammed through your throat, and that could have turned red in these states, but they won't because of poor choices by a GOP that is snake-bitten sometimes, it seems. We'll keep an eye on that, right? In Michigan, the biggest battle is for the GOP nomination for governor, because the Senate seats are not up this time around. And the latest polling shows that political newcomer Tudor Dixon is leading the field of 5 candidates. And with the wind at her back, she got an even bigger boost on Friday when President Donald Trump announced his endorsement of Dixon. Many believe that may have been the closer for her to carry the day on Tuesday and face Gretchen Whitmer in November's general election. Democrats came headhunting for Dixon with a last-minute $2 million ad buy trying to paint her as an anti-police candidate, claiming she would slash police funding in that state by $500 million. Meanwhile, in Arizona, Kari Lake, endorsed by President Trump a long time ago, she's leading in all recent polling and looks to be the GOP candidate for the general. She says she will close the border in Arizona, where Democrats, by the way, just quietly agreed to start working on this, get this, the border wall again, to close huge holes. And that was clearly done in an attempt to protect Senator Mark Kelly, who is very vulnerable for the Democrats this time around. But the White House says, by the way, they're not building the wall. It's actually quite surreal. We'll get to that in just a moment here. And in Missouri, the battle to keep the Senate seat red there has come down to a battle to keep a former governor, Eric Greitens, off the ballot. He was leading, but he's fallen back. And Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt appears to be on his way to victory to join another former Attorney General in the Show Me State. That's Josh Hawley, who's already a senator from Missouri, of course. And then you've got Pennsylvania. Huge disappointment. Problems for the GOP as Dr. Oz is bombing in the polls, it seems. Could be a devastating setback to getting the Senate back in Republican hands, which is crucial, really. So much going on this week. Plus, CPAC in Dallas coming in a couple of days. I'll be there. I'll give you a front row seat to all the action, including the speech by Tudor Dixon on Saturday night. President Trump will be there as well. CPAC Dallas, all of that happening, and all with the background of the big flip-flop by West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, the most powerful man in Washington, I've told you for a long time. Joe Manchin killed the Build Back Better, at least we thought so. But he flipped his position on the massive spending bill that most believe will further set our economy on fire. $800 billion. $800 billion is what this is going to cost the folks, you, me. Massive tax increases, and not on the people making $400,000 or more. That's garbage. On everyone. Tax increases on everyone. No matter how you measure it, massive increases in what you pay to the government at different levels. And so Senator Joe Manchin, like I said, is facing massive backlash for agreeing to a new massive spending bill that will trigger billions in new taxes on middle and lower income Americans. It's bite number one. They'll deny they're raising taxes, but they're doing it bite one. Go.
So in 2010, you said this: I don't think during a time of recession you mess with any of the taxes or increase any taxes. This bill does that. But here you are earlier this month.
You can't be raising taxes. You can't make anything inflationary. You can close some loopholes. You can find out where there's some things that should be done that should have been done before, but it won't be inflationary at all.
Now, technically, we're in a recession. And technically, according to multiple different organizations, this bill does raise taxes.
They're wrong. It does not raise taxes.
They're wrong. It does not raise taxes, he claims, but everybody knows the truth, Joe. The truth is you flip-flopped. You got something for yourself on this deal, but let's be honest. Joe Manchin's always been a partisan. I've told you that. We held out a lot of hope that maybe he could be strong enough to hang on. At least it's not a $2 trillion spending bill. I mean, that's the only upside of any of this, but it's a garbage bill. More garbage being spent everywhere. And the fact of the matter is, the big bills passed by President Trump, and then the American Rescue Plan by Joe Biden, and now this. They haven't even spent the money from Donald Trump's bills during the pandemic. That hasn't even been spent. The American Rescue Plan, which is more like an anchor around the neck of the economy, that money hasn't all been spent either. And you see what kind of an impact it's already had. So another $800 billion to be spent. Going to go to bite number 2 now because every major network is hammering Senator Manchin for raising taxes, hammering him. And he keeps dodging the truth, of course. Bite number 2. Bite 2, go.
Let me start with something you said back in 2010 in a debate when you were running for Senate. Here's what you said.
I don't think during a time of recession you mess with any of the taxes or increase any taxes.
So that's become your Republican colleague's favorite quote to roll out now that you've made this agreement with Chuck Schumer that has a tax piece to it. Why'd you change your mind?
John, I didn't change my mind. I've never changed at all. This is fighting inflation. This is all about the absolute horrible position that people are in now because of the inflation cost, whether it be gasoline, whether it be food pricing, whether it be energy pricing. And it's around energy mostly. It's driving these high inflation. This is going to take care of that because this is aggressively producing more energy to get more supply to get the prices down. That's what we're doing. But we didn't raise taxes, John.
But we can raise taxes. How is it going to aggressively increase energy production? The only way you're going to aggressively increase energy production is if you get your boot off the backs and the necks, really, of the energy companies. That's it. And unless you do that, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better at all. He knows that. And we're going to continue with Joe Manchin after the break, but I just have to break down what he's saying here. He's claiming that energy companies are going to expand and we're going to start increasing production. Well, that's not going to happen until the leasing is done properly and the federal government gets out of the way, allows drilling on federal lands, which has always been the case and is required by law since 1920 to hold these auctions, that the Biden administration continues to refuse to follow the federal laws and a ruling by a federal judge. Should be a constitutional crisis because the executive branch is ignoring the judicial branch, giving him the international sign of disapproval, basically. And because of that, you have companies that will not invest here, but they'll go to Guyana and invest in South America, where ExxonMobil is controlling 11.5 billion recoverable barrels of oil. And that country is expected to produce 1.7 million barrels a day in about 8 years as they build up that. So they're going to go get it anyway and make money and become wealthy. They just won't share it with the American people, which is sad. Quick break now on the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back.